Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another webinar in the Foresight project. I'm Roxana Voicodorobanzo. I'm the project manager for this Erasmus Plus strategic partnership. Excuse me. And following, let's say, an accident in our previous webinar where we had Abhi, who's a specialist in tech from an Indian business school, where I couldn't log in with my camera. I decided that this makes me sound like Hal in A Space Odyssey 2001. So, the disembodied voice that talks and gives ideas. Therefore, we're doing this webinar in the same line. Joining me for today's webinar is Mr. Lucian Andrei from our partner company Zitec, and we shall chat a little bit more about intelligent automation. Thank you so much, Lucian, for joining us in this webinar.
Hello, Roxana. Very
Uh,
glad to be here.
we are developing in this project courses and curricula and study materials for familiarizing non-tech people with ideas that come from the tech world. And Zitec has been bridging this gap for a while now. My first question for you would be, where do you as a company come into this project? So give us a little bit of background about Zitec. As a first presentation in this first webinar, we shall not do it in the other webinars from the company, but just, to set the stage about your perspective as an organization into these topics of intelligent automation and digital transformation, and the terms related to flexibility and resilience.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for this opportunity to talk about this very interesting subject nowadays. We've all heard this term of intelligent automation sometimes or most of the times together with another trendy term such as digital transformation. And basically, what we do at Zitec is to bridge the technology with the companies that need that technology in their daily lives, because intelligent automation basically means the use of these kind of advanced technologies such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, natural language processing, and of course, my favorite, robotic process automation. So the use of all of these advanced technologies, as we call them, to automate and optimize business processes. These business processes can range from internal processes, for example, invoices processing for a financial company, to other types of processes, such as logistic processing of parcels in a parcel delivery company. So all of these processes have the potential to be improved, to be automated, and we do only that. We just do that. We see the need. We link it with the technology, and we provide the implementation services for that technology to automate that specific process. So this is our place as a technology company, bridging the need with the demand from the market with technologies existing today. So a few words about Zitec, just before we discuss more in depth about intelligent automation. So we are a digital company, a software company, founded in 2003. We will be celebrating 20 years of existence this year in June, in 1 month. And we have grown from a two-people company in 2003, because there were just two founders, to a 360 people company in 2023. And this also means an increase of business figure. For example, last year we had revenue of a little bit above 25 million euros. And with an average annual growth rate of 54.9%, which is a great growth rate for a technology company. But this is due also to the fact that the recent years, the years with the pandemic, helped us to gain more traction. People suddenly needed more digital tools and platforms and mobile applications, and we were there to help them achieve that and continue selling their services or products. We had more than 750 projects, successful digital transformation projects, we call them, because any project can be seen like a digital transformation project. Usually digital transformation, when we discuss about a digital transformation project, we see the beginning of it, but we do not see the end of it, meaning that it's a continuous process. It spans usually over many years, and it actually never stops, because once you have started implementing the technology, then you develop an appetite for it and see that it helps you grow your business figure, for example, or help you get some economies in terms of time for your employees. Then you want to adapt more and more of these technologies, and you want to stay in line with the other companies, with the competitors that are also activating in the same market. And this translates into a range of projects, of digital transformation projects that you want to implement to be ahead of your competitors and to provide better services and products and faster for your customers. So as I was saying, more than 750 projects. Some of them were smaller ones and simpler ones, like developing a simple website, for example. Others were more complex, from hundreds of thousands of euro projects in logistics department or health area or retail, and this has allowed us to travel all these years and to transform to become such a large company. Some of our services, because Zitec is trying to provide the complete package of services for the customers, meaning that we want to be like a one-stop shop in the digital transformation journey for them. And this is why we have services ranging from product development, e-commerce, then digital marketing, UX UI design, cloud computing, continuous improvement services, and security and data protection. Of course, these services are evolving each year. Some of them will gain more traction over the years, such as we have now the security and data protection department, which has seen a growth in demand from different companies. This is also due to the geopolitical environment that we have right now. But it's a very important service that we provide to our current customers, and they are very happy with it. Other types of services that we have delivered, we have basically united more than one service to deliver for larger customers, such as the ones you see here. These are some customers residing mainly in Romania, but some of them have a more international presence, such as Decathlon or Payu or ST or Beko. You'll find their names in many other countries. And for this type of customers, we have provided more than one service from the previous list. Basically, they came to us for, let's say, product development service, and then they stayed for digital marketing services or security services, which is also fine for the customers because they find in one place the entire services that they need to run their daily operations and to improve their offering. So it's easier for them to discuss with a single supplier with whom they have a relationship instead of running acquisition opportunities with many other suppliers. So that was all about Zitec, I had to say for now. We have huge plans for the next years, and the market seems to be helping us, meaning that in Romania, for example, we are still on the increase of the digital services that companies provide towards their customers, and therefore we have a lot of demand from the market. Also, we want to be on top of this new trend, which involves artificial intelligence and all that ChatGPT and DALI madness that is nowadays. So we want to beat our competitors to that trend, and this means finding and implementing new interesting projects. Okay, so.
What I was thinking, I mean, obviously, Zitec's experience in developing this type of project is relevant and extended. What I was wondering is, what challenges did you encounter in developing these projects, and how did you tackle them? Because you've mentioned the market is still new, to a certain extent. Clients, some of them, particularly if they're medium or small enterprises, would feel attracted or, you know, swayed by what the trend is now. May it be ChatGPT or DALI and the myth of we are using AI in our business is very strong. So the question would be, what's the secret sauce to
Well,
tackle the challenges of deploying these projects, the digital transformation overall, and intelligent automation or RPA projects in your clients?
Well, thank you for the question. Basically, what I think we did good these years, better than our competitors, I would say, is that we kind of enter this role of a digital transformation consultant first. I mean, we did not act like an IT supplier company, just providing the service or providing the product, and that's it. Here's the product, give me the money. But we kind of went beyond that and before that, actually, because we acting as a consultant provided us the opportunity to come to know these needs that the customers and these small and medium-sized enterprises face in their journey to digital transformation. And they saw in us like a company they can grow together with, and not like a simple IT supplier. And they found here, for example, resources and consultancy that if they were to hire, they would have spent much more money to do that. So instead of trying to hire a machine learning consultant or developer, for example, from the market, which we know is very hard to find these days. So instead of doing that and spending, I don't know, thousands of euro or maybe tens of thousands of euro to find the right person and hire it and onboard it, and then after onboarding, providing the need to be solved, then they preferred to come directly to us because we already had the resources and we could provide the consultancy, and therefore make economies in terms of funds. Okay, so I think this is what we did good, and it's a good recipe for other IT companies as well. I'm not saying that we were pioneers in this endeavor, but what we did is that we had all of these resources and all of these consultants that could basically find the need for the companies and provide just the right solution to solve that need. So I think this is the recipe.
Thank you so much for that, because it is definitely a way to make digital transformation less daunting for companies that come from a very bricks and mortar industry. Let's say you are, and we're having here on your slide, we're having Romstal, who's dealing in pipes.
Yes.
And it's not the most high tech company. Obviously they have their own technology, but they deal in products. And the digital transformation and all these trends and all the speed at which they come to us may seem daunting for a company. And it's quite interesting to see that in terms of digital transformation, um, companies have this, let's say, shyness to develop, and they usually start small, and with one website and then with something similar. But you've presented a completely different approach, which is like, let's see all your needs, and if we can deploy them in one pack, it might be the best way. It might be more scalable. It might be more digestible to you as a company, instead of continuously do a small thing that has not a significant impact, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So we
Um,
basically broke the entire digital transformation project into small chunks that were easily digestible. Let's say for the company, just to carry on your example.
mhm. And that's why I actually wanted to start, and thank you for providing this insight into Zitec, because you have these strategies, you're using them with their clients, and it's good to know as a strategy for digital transformation before we dig into intelligent automation. What should I, as an SME, do if I've heard of it, but don't really know how to start? And it might be a good idea to contact this type of a company like yours that provides these, let's say, tailored solutions.
Yeah.
Shifting to the intelligent automation part. Because you've mentioned that some of your projects are specifically about that. I mean, digital transformation is much larger than intelligent automation. So, let's
So,
move to this part. Um, can you give us some examples or some insights into this area?
okay. Yes, of course. First, I just wanted to provide you a brief overview of the estimated intelligent automation market and size. Um, Meaning that, for example, in 2019, they estimated that the market will reach 15.8 billion by 2025. But this estimation has been overrated because nowadays the market is estimated to double, meaning about 30 billion euros in 2025. This is also due to the recent advances in ChatGPT and artificial intelligence tools like that. People, as you've seen, have been divided into supporters of this type of technology and detractors, saying that this technology will be bad or is already bad for the humankind. But but still, the market size for the adoption of this kind of technology and the need for this kind of technology in the next years is a staggering one. And of course, most of the companies that are already implementing such technology reside in North America. Around 42% of these companies. Then we have Europe with the next percentage of adoption of such advanced technology. Around 27% of companies reside in Europe. Then we have, of course, Asia and the rest of the world. This is like an overview what's expected to happen in this intelligent automation market in the next years. And here are some examples of the kind of technology that's included or that contributes to the intelligent automation of different processes. First, we have the robotic process automation. As you know, this technology has been with us for a number of years now. A lot of companies, especially from the financial and insurance areas, have implemented such technology, but the examples of companies using RPA are not limited to those domains. Then we have the artificial intelligence. Sorry, and this is a more difficult to adopt and a more niche technology because not every new SME existing on the market wants to has the resources or the power or the processes to use artificial intelligence on them. Then we have the machine learning, which is kind of part of the artificial intelligence, but it's a subset actually of artificial intelligence. But it's a more rule-based automation, much like robotic process automation. Then we have natural language processing, which has led to advances in terms of understanding with the machines, and the machines providing more accurate and more applied answers to their prompts. And of course, the cognitive analytics, which is all about the machines understanding the context and environment and providing meaningful context, meaningful answers, sorry, from the context that they are provided with. So these are some key technologies of this intelligent automation market. And of course, there are also some key industries that are more prone to the adoption of these kind of technologies. And we see here the financial market, which has always been on top of the industries adopting new technologies. And there's no exception here in the intelligent automation. They have, most of them, the vast majority have repetitive processes that can be automated and can use a lot of tools with the natural language processing and, of course, machine learning to automate more of the processes existing in the financial industry. Then we have the manufacturing, where the demand was, for example, in the crossing towards the smart manufacturing, which means integrating IoT, for example, that gathers different type of data from the manufacturing process and provides insightful dashboards for the management. Predictive maintenance also is a very important trend in this area, where you have all of these machines and robots activating in these huge factories, assembly factories, and they need regular maintenance, and this can be done via IT tools, of course, predicting when these moments should happen so that you can get more life out of the machines that you have. Then in healthcare, of course, we have seen the trends of personalized medicine, in which we don't have generic treatments and recipes for a huge number of patients, but then we have a more personalized healthcare for each individual, which can only be done by the use of big data analytics, which gathers and analyzes different types of data from the entire healthcare process and analysis. Okay. Then, of course, we have artificial intelligence here that can, for example, aid the physicians and the doctors to provide a more accurate diagnosis, more accurate and quick diagnosis, actually, of their illness, and not to wait for days or weeks to have that the result of their analysis. Other important domain that has led to adoption, that leads the adoption of new technologies, is the retail. We've all seen the growing numbers of online adoption and online usage of retail. Not that the brick and mortar trend is dead, but it's evolving towards this international market for products. And this has led to the e-commerce industry to start adopting different automation tools based on artificial intelligence, such as chatbots, or logistics management based on AI. Chatbots to assist, for example, with customer service. I don't know how many of you have been shopping online lately, and we've seen that almost every online shop has at least the frequently asked chat about the products and prices that you can access and ask different questions. So a couple of years ago, this was only a perk existing in the most prominent retail online retail stores, but now it has led to a massive adoption of this kind of technology, meaning chatbots. Um, and then we have, of course, the automotive and utility domains that are also adopting new technologies involving intelligent automation for different reasons. Um, Automotive because it's increasing demand towards accelerating automotive production, which means that they have to adopt a lot of technologies that can allow them to decrease the cost of the cars that are produced. And a lot of technology which is cramped in the new cars. We have all seen that. Um, just it doesn't seem the new cars don't seem to have any more physical buttons anymore. There's only touchscreens everywhere, which only means that the technology that has been introduced in the new vehicles is there to produce more data and to provide more assistance, for example, for the drivers and the passengers and the maintenance shops, for example.
I will jump
Yeah.
in. I had some previous questions, but I'm gonna keep them for the last. However, in this particular topic, I would like to jump in with a question
Yeah.
that's more specific. Our project also deals with resilience and the fact that um, obviously following the pandemic, we're trying to develop more resilient systems that hold more, and so on and so forth. And the very thing that you're mentioning is, we don't have any physical buttons now, we only have touch screens. However, touch screens are more sensitive, they're more fragile than a physical button. You don't fix them as easy as a physical button. Sure, nowadays cars are not as easily fixable as, cars in the 80s, and definitely not as the cars at the beginning of the car manufacturing industry.
Yes, of course.
But however, the question was exactly related to this resilience. Sure, we are generating more data, and that helps with tailoring better the products for us as users, and so on and so forth. But I would ask, that also decreases resilience. So, how can we find the middle ground?
Okay. Yeah, that's an excellent question, which I've also considered in the past. And I would
When,
say
when,
that
buy, when buying a car.
when buying a car, yes, yeah, I bought mine with still has buttons. My car, so but I had a friend who intended to buy one car, and he went to a few drive tests, and yeah, he was puzzled because. Anyway, this friend of mine is a bit older than me, and not that I'm that old, but still. And he said he refused to buy a car because it only had touchscreens. And he said, "Well, if I break that, or if I have an electric failure in the car, then I won't know what to do with it. I will leave it there and just take a taxi because I'm not able to do any kind of repairs. I will have to take it to the service or to replace, entire dashboards or something like that." So
They
this was,
they do
yeah,
have a point, because I was reading these past days an article about an actor, and he was very publicly saying that he's giving up on his famously branded electric car. And I'm not going to mention the car, but it's very much linked to space industries as well. And his problem was that he parked in an underground parking lot. And the underground parking lot had no connection to the Wi Fi or the internet, so no net. And his key fob broke. So basically, he couldn't get in the car. He couldn't find a tow truck to take the car outside because apparently that particular car has a setting that it can only be carried if all four wheels are off the ground. So it was, I mean, he describes in quite large in detail the ordeal that he had to go through for close to 24 hours to get his car out of that parking lot because that thing broke.
Yeah.
And the new, I mean, he couldn't use his phone app to unlock the car and take it away from there because there was no internet. And you might think that this is first world problems, right?
But
you know,
no.
you can't start your car because the internet is not working. However, I was thinking in terms of actually resilience for transportation systems, because the normal car, the gas car, you can start it even if you don't have electricity. I mean, if the power grid is down, the car is still working. You can use it to power up some electricity generator. You can start the car if you don't have internet. It still
Yeah,
works.
I
But
think this,
new
yeah,
car,
this trend should be reassessed because basically it was thought to be a trade-off between, taking care of the planet and in the same time, I mean, taking care of the planet by providing electric cars, electric vehicles, and of course, providing to the customers the new technologies at the reach of the hand, touch screens, video calls, chatbots, or everything else. Whereas, of course, it's a trade-off that we will have to reassess because you don't need all that technology there. Of course, you need better engines that don't hurt the environment and make the air more breathable. But otherwise, I don't see, and I'm not a huge fan of a lot of tech cramped in the small car, and making you afraid of going into underground garages because you don't have power of or internet. So I, this technology will have to be reassessed, and I think it's all a process. In the end, the rate of adoption will depend on how the car manufacturers and the evangelists of the visionaries in this field, the innovators, will provide these new vehicles that will solve these problems and not make people afraid to buy a vehicle like this.
it's
Because
not
yeah,
necessarily it's not necessarily fear. It's more like lack of convenience. I
yeah,
mean, and
reluctance.
obviously we're talking electric cars, and infrastructure is depending there. But the thing is, for a country that has broadband and 4G or 5G throughout the country, there's no problem to have a car that's constantly connected. uh, I mean, because the network is there, obviously. uh, However, for areas in the country that don't have that, and we have even in Romania some spotty places in which you might not get, phone connection, because it's the geography. It's normal to a certain extent to be like that. Then the limitation of having a vehicle that only works if connected um, is problematic, obviously, because it's not convenient. So people will use technology more and more if it's usually in the background, so it doesn't cause a huge shift for them. Um, I mean, if I have to do something else that I'm already doing, it will be problematic for me to do it, right? I mean, if I have to go to load my car, or no, it's charge my car, uh, charge my car to a different infrastructure than the one I'm used to, and that infrastructure is spotty, yes, I might think twice before getting on board of such a new vehicle. Why? Because it's not convenient. So I agree with you, but I think that the key point here is when these technologies, particularly for this, will become convenient for people. And what qualifies as convenient to the mass majority? Cool.
Yeah.
It's weird for me to say it like a disembodied voice. Like the voice you hear from your map system in the car. The one that says turn left and turn right. It's pretty much like that. So moving on, what are we chatting about now?
Well, okay. I was thinking of going further because we still have some information to cover. And the one thing I wanted to talk next was about this robotic process automation, which I said is already on the market for a few years. It's a mature technology, I would say, or towards maturity. We have here the example of our first Romanian unicorn, the UiPath company that has first one that reached 35 billion euro valuation. They came up with a marketing term and used this marketing term for their product because the technology existed before their before bringing it to the market in this form. So what is the robotic process automation? Is actually the use of software with artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities to handle high volume, repeatable tasks that previously required a human to perform. Um, well, it's something that existed, as I was saying, but it was put in a product, and actually it has a high adoption right now, especially as I was saying in the financial, insurance, why not health and retail domains, because it actually saves a lot of time for those repetitive tasks that existed out there. And I will give you one example here. For example, there were um, there are companies that used to receive invoices via email. The invoice had to be downloaded on the local drive, then opened, then information extracted from that invoice, information inserted into another system, CRM system, let's say, then validated via the CRM system in order so that invoice would be paid. That would have taken, I don't know, around 7-10 minutes or even more for a person to do that. And with the help of robotic process automation, that this can be done in a matter of seconds, meaning that the robotic process automation is a simple software able to understand the commands and able, for example, to to identify the email with the invoice based on certain factors or terms of tags. Then identify the invoice, download the invoice, use the credentials of the user to extract the information there and fill it in the CRM and validate it there. So this software is able to run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So basically, all the time to provide this automation. It doesn't require a salary. It doesn't require sick days or vacation. It just runs in the background and does its work. And of course, it will save a lot of money for the company, because the person that used to do that will be able to do other things, other more meaningful activities. So this is the robotic process automation, and you can see, because of its let's say simplicity, was easy to be adopted on a large scale by different industries. And we have here the quote from McKinsey Global Institute that is from 2017, saying that the automation is the next disruption of work. And we can see that even now, with the recent developments of the AI and intelligent robots, intelligent chat GPT, we can see that this trend is continuing in this area. Well, because what automation can do for you is that, for example, for robotic process automation, they can emulate a person by executing manual repetitive tasks, as in the example I was telling you before. As long as you provide the rules for the machine, for the robot, for the software, because it's actually a software, it's not a physical robot, it can make decisions based on those rules. So this, which is why it's one of the key questions, one of the key requirements here for a process to be automated, to be easily automated, is that process should be repetitive, and that way you can get the most economic value when the process, for example, this email and invoice and information loaded in CRM repeats itself, thousands of times a day, or more than that. So that way it makes sense for a company to adopt this kind of robotic process automation, because of course it can provide economies in terms of resources that you can use, but it also comes with an invoice for the implementation of such technology, with an investment, or initial investment for the implementation. Other advantages is that it doesn't matter the technology that you have, it can easily be integrated in the technology stack that you have, that you use in your company. And you can see the results in the next day that you have implemented such technology in your company. So, for example, I was saying what these kind of software robots, robotic process automation, can do for you. They can log into any application, provided they have a user and a password. You can create a profile for them. Then you can instruct them, for example, to move files and folders from one drive to the other, to read and write to databases, such as CRM or other types of management system that you use. Scrape data from the web, instruct them, for example, to bring data about different products, different competitors, different online stores that you further can use to sell your own product or services. They can extract content from documents, PDF, emails, and forms, as long as they know what to extract and you instruct them how to do that. They can do that. Um, they can make calculations, open emails and attachments, and as I said, they can do that all the time. A few advantages, as I said, you can see a rapid return of investment starting from the next day of the adoption of such technology and the implementation. You can see enhanced process because the machines don't make any errors as long as you provide them with a robust set of rules. Then they won't go beyond those rules. Not like, for example, a human operator that can sometimes make mistakes. And these mistakes can be some of them insignificant, but others, for example, in the financial business, some mistakes can be quite harsh. You have a better customer experience because if previously the operators, for example, could only answer till 5 o'clock to the questions of the customers, now you can have these chatbots based on automation and robotic process automation that can answer 24/7 to the questions that your customers might have, for example, in the
I will jump in with a question
e-commerce.
on this topic,
Yes, please.
because in literature, when studying this chatbot phenomenon, one element that is mentioned is the fact that customers can experience fatigue when interacting with intelligent automation. People tend to become frustrated when conversing with chatbots, when they're trying to troubleshoot things by using an automated system, um, and they don't get the results. So, particularly if people use with the chatbot the same type of language that they use when they normally write, which is not necessarily in a very correct way from the point of view of grammar, with contractions, with lots of spaces, or with various other breaks in the speech. So how do you think we can tackle this fatigue? How can we avoid it? Because at some point, and I'm sure it has happened to many of us, you go on a website, you do have the chat bot, but it would take actually much longer with to solve the problem with a chatbot than it would with a human operator, who might give you a solution in a, a couple of minutes instead of you chatting back and forth for half an hour. So how can we avoid this fatigue?
Well, I would say that this fatigue is similar to the fatigue existing at the adoption of any new technology, let's say. And then I don't want to diminish your experience with this type of technology, but let's say you were in the 80s, late 80s, and you were experiencing the internet boom. And of course, there were also voices back then saying that, the technology is good, but it's not what we need right now. We still have to work on it, and so
Oh,
on and so forth.
I'm sure that has happened ever since technology has
But
popped up. I mean, in a previous webinar, we were discussing that we associate technology with artificial intelligence, but it's not that. I mean, technology is the wheel, and I'm pretty sure when the people invented the wheel, there was somebody saying, "You know what? It's not working as it should. Maybe you should do it a little bit better." But the question was actually more towards us learning the
yeah,
proper way to
uh,
ask a
this
chatbot.
was that was the first part of my answer. The second part was that it's very useful, this feedback that we have, and I have the same feedback as you regarding this example with the chatbots on different websites and retail online e-commerces. But it's for us to provide this feedback so that the technology can be improved. And being still at the beginning, this technology with the chatbots and with the things that run in the background with the AI, I'm sure that in the next years we will see huge improvements in this area. And the Turing test they will pass the Turing test much faster than they do right now, these machines. So it's just a minor hurdle that we will have to cross to get to the other side. But when we get to the other side, the experience will be much more useful. Plus, it will allow the companies that use this kind of technology to provide, let's say, cheaper services instead of, hiring lots of people that can answer 24/7 to any questions that might arise from the customers, and that cost of hiring those people would be reflected in the price of the product or of the service. So for me, it's a good trade-off, let's say, and but of course, as I said, we should provide this feedback, and we will see some improvements in the next years. Okay. So there are also, as you can see here, other types of advantages in using the robotic process automation. I will not go into more in depth here. I'm sure we have touched them, some of them in the previous slides, and we will touch them in the next information. So a few of the fields that have benefited from robotic process automation so far, and they were the big winners of adopting this technology. As I said, finance, in different processes, process to pay, order to cash, records to report. In the supply chain, a lot of robotic process automation tools that can do inventory management, planning, invoice and contract issuing and acceptance. In the IT, we have routine maintenance and monitoring, which is also very important when you run different kinds of automated tests or manual tests, or even monitoring of the existing projects, existing infrastructures. And human resources, we have the payroll, the onboarding and offboarding of employees, administration of benefits, which can be done in an automated way. Of course, when you have a small company of 10, 20 employees, this is not a problem for human resources. But when you have to do that every month for a couple of hundred employees, then it becomes problematic. We have to record the timesheets, we have to issue invoices, we have to process all the payments, all the salaries, or the benefits, everything that should be done. So it becomes painful. So these are the main fields that have benefited and are benefiting from the adoption of the RPA. Now, when it comes to the question of what process should I automate, there is in this slide there are a few hints on the traits that this process must possess in order to be eligible for automation. So first of all, it has to be a highly manual and repetitive process, as I was mentioning in the example before. It has to be a rule-based process. I mean, if it's a process that suffers a lot of exceptions, then it's not eligible, not so much eligible for automation, because then you will have to design different sets of rules for different types of exceptions, and that will mean a lot of work in the implementation of the robotic process automation, and therefore it will not be so much economically advantageous for the company. Low exception rates also hits this one. As the fewer the exceptions you have in that process, the better it is. And these exceptions, for example, might be if you receive, I don't know, 100 types of invoices. So you will have to design a rule for each of these 100 types of invoices that you receive. Then, of course, it's a nuisance for the programming of the rules. And this will make the robot somehow, the software robot somehow, not worthy to be programmed. Then these processes must have a standard readable electronic input type, whether it's an invoice, an email, a text, I don't know, a video or whatever. It must have a standard readable electronic input type. It does not work on paper. If you have paper in the process, meaning printed stuff, then you cannot automate that unless you find some way to transform it into a digital form. Then we have the process needs to have high volumes, as I was saying, in the order of thousands of repetitive tasks like this on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, or if you go on a monthly basis, then you have tens of thousands or hundreds times of thousands. Changeable processing method or system change. The system that you have should be able to adapt to this, as I was saying. You need to find some savings in this automation, because if the process is not a high volume one, then you will not see savings. It's better to keep a person there that can do, if you have 2 or 3 invoices a day, then you have to process, then it's not useful to have this robotic process automation, because it will cost you actually more to implement that than having a person do that process on a manual scale. And then they have to be mature and stable processes, meaning that you won't intervene weekly or monthly or to modify these processes, because any modification you add to this process will translate into a modification you will have to provide for the implementation of the robotic process that you have. So these are the traits that a process should have in order to be considered to be automated. So, as I was saying, most of these processes can be found in the financial, health, retail businesses or insurance. Then again, a few traits on the process. We won't go to it. Again, some examples on what this robotic process automation can do. For example, in recruiting, they can provide unbiased scoring of candidates, automating hire paperwork and onboarding activities, meaning that if you hire a lot of people, and we know the nuisance that can be when you have to analyze a lot of CVs from possible candidates. Then if you have these CVs in electronical form and in the same format, then you can use this kind of robotic process automation to analyze them and score the candidates according to certain criteria that you established before. Then a lot more examples here. We won't go into them. But we will have some use cases for different processes or different real life companies that have used automation and robotic process automation. And they have implemented the process and they have seen a return of investment. But before that, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about this process and how do we choose this kind of process, or what is the process to go from no automation or no digital transformation, no intelligent automation towards a system that can help you with that. Because we have seen the traits of a process that can undergo robotic process automation, but we don't know the actual path towards that. So I would say that first and foremost, the businesses should identify these processes that can benefit from automation. For example, look at the traits that I was mentioning before, and see if you have any of these processes running in your company, inside your company, and then make a list of these business processes that that can benefit from automation. Then you will have to evaluate the different technologies that are existing on the market regarding automation, because for some processes, robotic process automation can be the answer, but for other processes, for example, a simple machine learning tool or a more complex artificial intelligence tool can be the answer. So once these business processes have been identified, the next step is to evaluate the available technologies and determine which ones are the most suitable for the business needs. That can also mean that you should research different vendors of such technologies, attending different demos, and consult with some experts from the IT industry that can provide you with advice on how to and what type of technology is best suitable for your project. Then, after you evaluate these technologies, you need to have and to draft a plan for implementation. That can involve, setting different goals or KPIs, creating a timeline until you want to see the process automated, identifying resources required to implement intelligent automation successfully, and so on and so forth. Then the next step would be to pilot the technology. I mean, before implementing intelligent automation across the entire organization, it's often a good idea to pilot the technology in a small, controlled environment. I mean, just use it on a small chunk of the process, or for the implementation of only a certain rules, to see how it works, how fast can you implement it, how do you feel using that technology. Okay. Then after you pilot, it can also help you identify some issues or areas that you want to improve that process. Also, the next step after you pilot the technology is to train your employees, because usually in a traditional company, not all employees are digital savvy ones, and they will need to undergo some sort of a training on how to use the technology, creating user guides for them to know how to perform better in using that technology, and offering ongoing support, because once they start using it, they will definitely encounter different issues that will need to be solved. And once you've done all that, the last step, once you've implemented the technology and you have automated the process, the last step is to monitor and refine the process. This can involve collecting, for example, feedback from the employees, running that intelligent automation, the robotic process automation, or the machine learning system. Then you have to analyze data, because this kind of system and software can provide you with a lot of data from the process, how many entries have been, how much the processing took. Then based on this data, you can make some adjustments, improve the efficiency of the process and the effectiveness. So, once you have all these steps into place, you can say that you have a process automated, and you will start to see the return of investment of that process implementation. So this is what I wanted to mention about the steps towards this kind of project, because when you see, and we see a lot of projects, a lot of companies failing in their endeavor to adopt such technology, and they are failing because they have not been following all these steps. They have skipped some of them, or they have not gone through with some of them, and they are very important, because it's not easy to adopt a new technology, as we were discussing earlier. There is always resistance to change. The management wants to see the return of investment. The employees want to, see that the technology helps them in their everyday life and makes their life easier. And the technology will not take the jobs, as some of them might fear. And so for each of these stakeholders involved in the process, you will have to provide real insights, and be careful on them how to handle this kind of implementations. Okay, so so these are some examples on how robotic process automation helped some companies. For example, here we have the customer was a global automotive supplier in Germany, and the process that they have identified to be automated was purchase requisition and automation. So they ran back office business process with 30 personnel per week, and a 3-hour time for the purchase requisition. There were 2 departments involved in that used SAP, which is software used to deal with internal processes, acquisitions and stuff. And they use also email, Excel, and a web portal on desktop. The information was structured by business users, and the rules and decisions were predetermined and included interactive support and agreed process steps from users. The process had 10% of exceptions, as I was saying, so they were not 100% exceptionless, and involved the use of paper and other web technologies. So the solution for them was to replace paper by a simple and user-friendly web portal that fed purchase requisition into the UiPath robot, which in turn entered information in the SAP. The robot checked for approvals via email and then created the purchase orders automatically. And the benefits for the company were that they automated 100% of the effort was automated. They could see the return of investment in 8 months after the implementation. They had a higher standardization of process, quality improvement to 0% error rate. As I was saying, machines don't make any mistakes unless you program them to do those mistakes. Much faster processing time reduction of 78%, user-friendly and better user acceptance, and manual effort reduction to 5%. So this is one use case. Let's see another one. This time it's a construction company, also from Germany. And the process they wanted to automate was a daily project management reporting. Sorry, the implementation time took 4 weeks. So the challenge was that they needed to automate back office process with a volume of 500 emails per day. There were 3 departments involved that used 2 different applications on desktop. The information was structured while the rules and decisions were predetermined. 10% exceptions in the process. So the solution was that the UiPath robot extracted data from various SAP tables, personalized data for every facility manager, and sent the personal list via email. The list included the current and future tasks, as well as open items from the post. So this helped them to fully digitize and fully automate the entire process. Return of investment was seen in 6 months. Error rate reduced again to 0%, manual effort reduction to 5%, and faster processing time reduction of 80%. So this is another example. You can see we were discussing about financial departments and insurance and health adopting this technology, but you can see there are also a lot of other companies that can benefit from that, as long as they have this kind of repetitive processes that can be automated. Okay, this is another construction company also from Germany. We'll go to another construction company also from Germany. Okay, this is a human resources service provider from Germany. The process they had to automate was automating invoices process for special customers. And so they had, the company ran a back office process with a volume of 100 events per month. 5 minutes per voucher time. There were 4 departments involved and used 2 applications, internal portal and SAP, on both web and desktop. The information was structured, 15% of exceptions. The solution, the robot was in charge with the creation of a high volume invoices with data extracted from SAP for specific customers of the human resources provider. Then the robot uploaded the created invoice to a procurement portal and entered the data into value fields. 70% of effort automated, return on investment in 3 months, and error reduction again to 0%. Faster processing time reduction of 75%. Now, if you think that each of these transactions, each of these activities took 5 minutes, then you say, well, 75%, that's not, they still had to work like 1 minute, right? But if you add that and add that to the amount of a day or to a week or to a month, then you will see the real implication of such time reduction of 75%. Cost savings of 60%, I see they had here. Another human resources service provider from Germany, logistics company, also from Germany. The process maintenance prediction for locomotives. The challenge they had is that the customer needed to automate the back office process with a volume of 1 process per day and 30 minutes per data records time. There were 2 departments involved that used 5 applications on desktop, web, and SAP. The information was structured with the predetermined rules and conditions. The process had 10% of exceptions. And the solution was that the robotic process automation robot checked various tools and files from SAP to gather maintenance data for the cargo locomotives and consolidated it in Excel files. This helped the customer to predict maintenance hours. The degree of robotization is again 100%, return on investment in 3 months, error rate reduction again to 0%, and manual effort reduction to 10%. So this led also to a higher accuracy in maintenance prediction, which of course helped them to make more economies in terms of money. So I don't know if we have time for another one. Oh, yes, this was the last one actually. So this is all I had to tell you today. I had to present. Um, as I said, we do such kind of automations at Zitec, whether it's a robotic process automation, a machine learning tool, or other tools based on more complex artificial intelligence tools. And then we can also provide this kind of systems. I don't know, are there any other questions, Roxana?
I actually asked ChatGPT while you were talking what they would ask you.
Okay.
And and the answer, I mean the prompt was, you're interviewing a Zitec expert on intelligent automation, what questions would you ask? And the question was, I mean, not mine, but ChatGPT's. I would want to know about Zitec's expertise and experience in this area. Checked, we've done that. Specifically, I would ask what types of automation projects Zitec has worked on. Again, checked. What
Okay.
challenges they have faced. Again, checked. And how address those challenges. Additionally, I would ask what successes they have achieved with intelligent automation, the processes and best practices they use to ensure successful outcomes, and what strategies they recommend for organizations looking to take advantage of intelligent automation. So I think we've
Check, check,
satisfied
check.
ChatGPT. Exactly. Yes. Well, the while this webinar is streaming, obviously we will ask our audience to post their questions either in on Facebook or on YouTube, and we shall get back to them in writing, as we have done with all our previous speakers. Quite an encompassing presentation on various types of industries and companies being impacted by this. And I would raise a different point, because you have mentioned UiPath, and we have collaborated with them in just as Zitec is doing in a project that they have worked on with social innovation solutions this time, which talks about automation for good, which, and this type of project talks about the fact that obviously everybody is talking about the impact of artificial intelligence and intelligent automation and RPA. And one key point of the detractors is it's going to leave a lot of people without a job, uh,
Okay.
which is, again, a point of debate. Um, like many others, like, access and control of data, like the fact that privacy issues are at hand now, and so on and so forth. So in this context, the automation for good report focuses on using automation not just for companies to generate return on investment and to generate value for shareholders, but also for NGOs, for organizations that tackle social issues, in order to, let's say, you have mentioned earlier, finance How about not thinking necessarily about the financial element and how to make more money, but how to distribute money more efficiently to projects that generate higher impact socially and so on and so forth. So definitely these type of studies and elements are to be considered, and we are considering them also on our platform, which is platform.blogs.asset.raw. And in there we have different case studies, different courses tailored made for tech and non-tech people on this specific topic. Now that being said, Luciana, I'm going to give you the last remarks on the topic, and then we're just going to wrap up, promising to meet in our next webinar.
Well, before that, I just wanted to say that I've been also on the blogs platform, and it's a very nice one. I urge our viewers to access it and see the multitude of courses that exist there, and information that are free of charge, and they can use that to improve their knowledge in this area of intelligent automation or different type of technologies such as blockchain. Okay, so with that being said, I would say in conclusion that we are now in a on a journey towards a more digital future, and it's our job as users of this kind of technology, and companies implementing such technologies. So, as I was saying, it's our job to make this implementation better for us all, or and to use the technology to the greater good, and not use it to leave people out of jobs or whatever, because this is not the case. This is actually not the case. We all want a better future for us and for our children, and we should use this technology and these advancements in technology nowadays to provide just that, to work better, to work more efficient, to work smarter towards this bright future that we should all see ahead of us. So this is this is
That's
my,
quite an
my final.
optimistic insight. Um, with Thank you again for this motivational to a certain extent vision. Our next webinar will be on algorithmic governance, and we shall focus more on rules and how to change that. And that being said, I would welcome our audience to ask as many questions as possible. I would thank you again, and tune in for our next webinar. Thank you. See you again.